Hold up. Wait a minute. Bruh. Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring hopes. Exploring, researching, debunking, investigating, being nosy, super nosy, being messy, being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me, the chick with ADHD, unmedicated but quite educated. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome. Hold up. Let me make sure my screen is all the way. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Aduko, is your sound working? Let me know. Hopefully, it's just you and not everybody else. Because I don't see anybody else saying anything about the sound, but let me know. I know we've been having some tech issues. Hopefully, things have been fixed. I've been doing stuff in the background to fix things because people have told me that they've had issues with their stuff, and it could just be me. So I just want to make sure. Buenas tardes desde el sur de América or del mundo. Shout out to you, Annika. How are you, my love? Sorry, I was at the dentist. Girl, I'm sorry. I hate the dentist. Shout out to you. Oh my God. Welcome, everybody. Sound is good. Sound is good. All right. Thank you. Makeup. Well, thank you. I got to start telling you guys what I'm wearing. I don't ever do that. I need to start doing that. I need to tag it on my videos. Because I do get people that will hit me up about, hey, what's your eyeliner? What's your this? What's your that? And I don't be giving if I start tagging it, then you guys can buy it directly from me. I don't know if you get a discount. That'd be great though. Because it's like, why am I giving these people promo if they don't give you a discount? I don't buy things full price. No, I don't. Nope. So I don't want you guys, especially makeup. Oh my God, Soul Power. Shout out to my Soul Power Tarot Coach. He says, Rabs, thanks for everything that you do. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. Joey, why are you in this chat and not on vacation? Can somebody tell Joey that she's on vacation right now? I've been watching your comments, girl. You need to go be on vacation. But shout out to you. I'm glad that you're here. Hit the like button. But be on vacation, okay? Welcome. And Soul Power, thank you so much for this super chat. It's really helpful. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, you resting from the vacation? Hey, Justice Jane. Hey, Nebby. Shout out to everybody coming through Island. None of your business is in the house. She's like, you resting from the vacation? It's something to be said about the fact, if you need a vacation from your vacation, there's something to be said about that. Okay, that must mean that some stuff was really going down. Yes, I used to say this all the time too. I was like, I haven't taken a vacation in a long time. I need one, but I used to be like, man, I think I need a vacation from my vacation because it's like an event to even plan out, So yeah, I hear you on that one. Yeah, guys are so amazing. Thank you. All right, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. It does help the channel. Thank you. Well, thank you. All right. So I start a staycation tomorrow. Ooh, that sounds fun too. I love staycations, especially when you don't have to spend money. I'm here for it. You said having a blast, beaches, and a lot more. That's good. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I had to mute because Baby Bunny came in here and she wanted to tell on somebody. Miss Reba, member for a year. Shout out to you. Thank you, Miss Reba. A whole year. I feel like it's been longer than that, Miss Reba. Shout out to you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you. All right. So let's get it together because we have to talk about a couple things here and there. One of the things that I really want to talk about, and you guys know I've been doing a lot of pre-recorded on this topic because I feel like I kind of, not that I don't predict stuff. Okay. I'm not I don't have that kind of capability of predicting things. Okay. I really don't. But, to me, oh, the article didn't come up. Okay. Here we go. This, all right. Daveigh Chase. Okay. Daveigh Chase. With her sudden death, for those that have not been following what's been going on, this young woman dies at the age of 35 from the disease. Give me one sec, guys. Sorry, y'all. Baby Bunny's doing the most today. She's having a moment. So this specific case, not that it's a case. She muted for a second. I nearly had a heart attack. No, I had to mute because of Baby Bunny. She came in here and she distracts me in a minute. That's why I have to stop. I've been doing a couple videos about this situation, and honestly, it's one of those things where it's like very young woman dies at the age of 35. Okay. Now, she signed a very interesting contract with Disney. For those that don't know who she is, she's actually the original voice of Lilo from Lilo and Stitch. Okay. Lilo and Stitch. Put them on. I'm sure everybody knows about Lilo and Stitch. Disney's Lilo and Stitch, right? The cartoon, there's a cartoon, there's a series, and there's movies and stuff like that, right? Well, when she was 13 years old, she signed one of the few, I would say, Disney stars that signed a very specific kind of contract where she would earn residuals from like theme parks, merchandise, anything Lilo and Stitch. Okay. And it was very specific that account essentially ended up in a SAG-AFTRA like trust. Okay. I don't know if she knew because when you're 13, how the hell you paid attention to this kind of stuff? I mean, that's the crux of a lot of these celebrity kids, right? That they don't know what they're signing, they don't know where their money went, they don't know anything, right? And then they wind up broke. Okay. Well, what is sad to me about this and why it resonated with me, number one, we found out she passed away in June, and in a very tragic situation. She died of, I can't even say the word. She died of the disease. Okay. The house in Virginia. Okay. For those that don't know, the house in Virginia, think about what I'm saying. The H and the other acronyms, okay, other words. I have to be careful because YouTube will flag me. So she was living, it sounds like she had cut off her family for like 10 plus years and was living in Skid Row. And there was these images of her in Skid Row, but she was making carpet appearances. She was still connected. She had an IG where she was still very much active on. The sad part is, to summarize, and you guys have heard me say this, is that while they're doing interviews after the news of her death came about, her parents, like her dad is in the Philippines and her mom is like here in the States. And her dad, starts saying that she started using rugs at the age of 13. which if you listen to Melissa Gilbert, and I know Melissa Gilbert's also questionable to me. Y'all know how I feel about that because of her husband. Anyways, she starts talking about the fact that like she was a child that was really working and doing the most for her parents, right? She was her work ethic. So she was doing multiple jobs and she did multiple projects at the age of 13. She was everywhere. I think if you're a millennial, one of the movies that you remember her on is The Ring. She played Samara, okay, the evil child, you know, the one that comes out of the TV. She did that role, okay? She did that role. She did other stuff. She did a lot of like independent films, right? So dad says that she starts using substances at the age of 13. The story is so inconsistent because he's saying 13. He basically stops talking to her at the age of 19, but then does another interview where he said he hasn't even seen her since the age of 6. Dad can't get his story straight about when he didn't see her. I don't know. Mom then says to the media that the last time she saw Daveigh was, or excuse me, she hadn't seen Daveigh, but she started substances in 2016. So she was 26 when she started using substances. That she had an accident and that started out, you know, basically a world of stuff. You know, I unfortunately, I've had, unfortunately, and I'm sure a lot of people maybe have been in this, you know, might relate to this. I had a family member, may he rest in peace. He died of the disease too. I was a lot younger and he was also addicted to substances. But this was like earlier on. And I think after the 2000s, we were able, I mean, the disease doesn't have to become the disease. It could just be like the virus, right? Where you're getting medication. So this young actress done all the work, working hard for her parents. There was an account that was building up a lot of residuals because of Lilo and Stitch and other projects in a SAG-AFTRA. She dies, and there's this account that's sitting there. So suddenly, her parents, who she cut off for like 10 years, she hadn't had contact with them. They start coming out of out of everywhere. You know, now they remember. Now they remember, you know. And I'm not shitting on them because ultimately, if there's a lifestyle that she chose to do, right? What can we do? Ultimately, people have to hit the bottom that they need to hit. Or they wind up like, unfortunately, like my family relative who's no longer here, right? Sometimes the addiction, the disease itself is too much and it takes over. So I don't know. It's hard because she was so young when she died, 35 years old, guys. Did she know that she had this account with these residual? I don't think she did, honestly. So here comes dad talking about, I'm going to, you know, get her cremains. Mom suddenly is coming out, applying for probate court, you know, to get this money. And guess what? Because of these residuals, those parents, those absent parents are set, by the way. They're set. I do have something to say about that. Like, I don't like how they did this girl overall. And it does kind of get at me in general. You said, yes, thank you. Well, this one, y'all know. I personally, you have a relative with the disease and with the medication today, he's totally fine. Yeah, you don't have to get the disease if you're able to treat the virus, right? I've known of many that have received the package, some still living in it. Yeah. So let me tell you what research says, and I'm not making this up. Y'all can look it up, okay? Typically, people that die of the disease now in 2026 are people that don't have access or don't get to, you know, where they need to access this medication, don't get tested, don't have access. If she had cut off her family and was living homeless and completely off the grid or whatever it may be, maybe that was a choice that she made, right? I'm just not buying the excuse that suddenly people are coming out of the woodwork. The manager that used to work with her, who she hadn't even done a project since 2016. Suddenly he's talking about, well, we were trying to get her into rehab and we were trying to do this. And I said, you know, that's cute. Trying, right? I think, is that a verb? But it's not even that. It's just simple fact that I have to wonder why she cut the people that she was working so hard to appease for. There's something more to this. And I do personally, I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story. I felt the same way about Liam Payne. Okay, may he rest in peace too. that I still, by the way, I am working on a video for Liam Payne. It's just taking me a minute because I have to translate so many documents from, it's like Argentina, the Spanish. I got to hit up Julia and see if she can help me out with some things and whatnot. But it's one of those things where it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. She was young. I get it. She was young, and you messing around with stuff, and it's just, I don't like it. I don't like this kind when I hear these kinds of stories. But anyways, so Daveigh Chase estate worth over $400,000 at a time of her death, but former star left no will. Typically, somebody who's in addiction is not going to leave a will. The Lilo and Stitch and the Ring actor's mother is asking a probate court to name her the administrator of her daughter's estate, according to the documents obtained by NBC News. So hold up, I have a subscription somewhere else. I don't know why I used them, because I saw the article. Was it the New York Times or Los Angeles Times? I probably saw it in the New York Times. Or we can use TMZ because it's free ski too. Here it is. We'll go to the worst one. So she left a 6-figure estate. Late actress lived in an RV near Skid Row. Okay. Now, I know some of you guys might have your biases about this, but I know a lot of people that live in an RV. It doesn't mean that they're homeless. I do. So it just depends on, what your definition of being homeless is. But I know a lot of people that live in RVs. It's, they choose to live. And hey, man, with the way things are priced right now, I don't blame anybody for wanting to live in an RV or live outside or whatever, I don't. Daveigh's mom revealed her daughter, who was living in an RV near Skid Row when she died, left behind a massive amount of money. TMZ has learned. We knew she left a massive amount of money 2 weeks ago, because I did a video and I told y'all the manager who last worked with her. And by the way, why would you still be her manager? Why are you called the manager when you haven't worked with her since 2016? So weird that these people come out when the money is like there. Why? I was working on a documentary about trying to find her to get her in rehab. We were calling it Finding Lilo. I cringe. Y'all need to watch the last video I did on this. I cringe when I heard that shit. I was like, no. Van life is popular. Yes. People loving the RV life. I probably will do the same at some point. I just can't do camping. I can't do camping, but I could definitely do an RV for sure. Or a van life. I can do that. I'll just wait till my children, are older to not need me or anything like that. That's my plan, hopefully. And then on my bucket list is also, I want to be a flight attendant. I do. I think I could be. I don't know why. Why that's on my list. I got a couple things on my list, but that's what I want to do once I hit my, older years. You go. I hate camping. Yeah. Nope. Listen, y'all. No. All right. I'm not. You guys over here with the shout out to the campers, but let me tell you, I don't be doing that. Okay, you come out here with the Blair Witch Project type of stories? No, sorry. Good luck to you. Anyways, let's keep going. So Daveigh's mom revealed her daughter, who was living in an RV, left a massive amount of money. And by the way, this is why suddenly their parents and they're coming out. Oh my God. Yes. I lost my child who I haven't had contact with in like 10 years. Okay. They're coming out here filing for probate court and whatnot, right? According to court documents obtained by TMZ, Kathy Chase asked the court to appoint her as the administrator of the late actress' estate. She said Daveigh had no children and was never married. Nope, she was not. She said her daughter left behind $400K in personal property. Kathy said Daveigh's dad, John, lives in Vegas. Well, now he moved. Lives in Vegas and in the Philippines, but she doesn't know his address overseas. As TMZ reported, Daveigh died on June 16th. At the age of 35, her cause of death was officially, the disease. Daveigh's friends were desperately searching for her in her final months after videos of her were surfacing in Skid Row. I don't believe it. You can't even recognize if that's her or not. I saw the video. I don't recognize it. So that's my thought on that. I was going to do a shorter video, and I might later, but I'm just pissed off. I don't like this kind of news. Like I said, suddenly the people The people care about you because you got money and you left money. There's a saying, we say it a lot in Spanish in Mexico. It's like, don't bring flowers. Don't bring flowers to someone who dies. Bring them when they're alive. Bring flowers to the person when they're alive, so you can actually celebrate them, right? People always want to bring flowers to someone who's already passed away, but in reality, it's like, damn, like you could have done it when they were alive. There's a thing to be said about that. People always want to remember people when they're gone, which is fine. That's fine. But I'd rather celebrate you when you're alive, right? Honestly. Anyways, I don't know. That is the issue with that. Now let's talk about D4VD. So Lord have mercy. So Nathan Hodgman, I'm telling you, man, this DA is like a different kind of DA. He did, and first of all, shout out to First Liberties podcast, because if you didn't watch our not a live, but a pre-recorded video earlier, by the way, I'm getting a lot of shout out to Joe. If you're in the chat, thank you. Give them roses while they're still alive. Thank you. But how do you say it in Spanish though? There's a way to say it in Spanish. Abraham, how do you say it in Spanish? Because that's how I remember the saying. It was like in Spanish. I just can't on the top of my head. I bet you know how to say it. I'll probably have to look it up. I can't remember. You said it's too late once they're gone. That's right. Celebrate the people. Of course, you're always going to bring flowers to when someone passes away, but celebrate them when they're alive. I mean, bring them their flowers when they're alive. That's what you do. No, I do. I just can't even think about it right now on top of my head. You said she passed away the same day. My beautiful mom, only 19 years in between. My mom used to say, give me flowers now and not when I'm gone. Yeah. You can always donate for a cause. I don't want people's money. I want my people. Gotcha. Aw. They gave up on her. I think they did. You said, en vida me querías? Me quisieras? But there's a way to say it. I always wanted to be a flight attendant too. Girl, Olga, we see each other, girl. We see each other. A so-called boyfriend started a GoFundMe, says Soul Power Tarot, for Daveigh, saying he was going to bury her and stopped it. Yeah, the manager came in and stopped it because that's how we found out that she had a SAG-AFTRA account, for sure. You said, oh, hold up. Mientras, tráeme flores mientras estoy vivo, no después que estoy muerto. That's how you say it. Tráeme flores. Bring me flowers while I'm alive, not after I have died. That's how you say it. Thank you, Abraham. I was like, I had it right on top of my head. I just couldn't remember how to say it. Mándame flores ahora, no cuando haya muerto. There you go, Annika. Thank you, Annika. Ándale, right here. Look at you. Shout out to my Vicky. Vicky, de darle sus flores mientras están aquí. Yeah, there you go. Ooh, look at y'all. Y'all chat GPT this. Shout out to y'all. Y'all said it in so many different ways. I love it. Yeah, but it's the truth, right? Anyways, it is busy. Well, you're right. My mom says, don't waste your money on flowers at all, says Nolan. Oof. All right, guys. So let's talk about this. The DA did an interview. Nathan, is it Hodgman? Now, this DA, y'all, you guys know, since he's been, the DA in LA County, I mean, he's really taken it upon himself to do things a little bit different, shake things up. I think one of the things where he got a lot of pushback, and whether you agree or don't, that's up to you guys, is up for opinion. But you guys remember the Menendez brothers case, the Menendez, right? The ones that killed their parents back in like the late 80s, 90s. Okay. And that was a huge case. I was like a child when that happened. Well, when the other DA was in office, there was a push, to release these, men. And, there was there was an affidavit. I remember it too. I mean, I kind of, the Menudo, RCA, all of this. We did a bunch of videos about it. I really thought that they were going to free the Menendez. Now everything's been quiet ever since this DA has been in office. He quiet the people. He said the people, they're not getting out. They might have been abused as children. They might have been essayed, but they're not getting out. I'm not making this up. Like literally, he had that press conference and he had people so mad about that. And we talked about it. Matter of fact, I'll tell you guys a little something that happened. Oh, I don't know if I should disclose this. I will. I didn't sign anything. So let me tell you what happened. I want to say, was it last year or 2 years ago? It had been 2 years ago. When it came to the Menendez brothers, there was a huge social media push, right, for the release. And to a certain degree, I do feel like there might be more to the Menendez that we're not really considering. I'll give you that. But somebody who was doing, and this happens a lot, while you're on YouTube, content creators, take note of this. When people see you growing or they see that certain people pay attention to your channel, you start getting like PR advertisements. They'll start they want to pay content creators to run a certain agenda, right? And so there was this certain agenda that was being run, I would assume, by that other side, as it pertains to the Menendez brothers. And I mean, they were paid. Now, listen, friends, they were paying well over in the thousands for specific videos. Okay. Very, very specific videos that they wanted out, a very specific hashtag and whatnot. It was a social media agenda to get this hashtag going when it came to the Menendez brothers. So I personally, when I saw that, oh yeah, they were up for at one point. Yeah. So I saw it and I was like, ooh. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. You know, people will send you contracts and they'll send you things to, you know, that's what they do. People see the value. Even these people, you know, that are in social media, you know, the ones that are kind of doing of course, there's always political stuff, but not even the political stuff, just outside of this, they'll when they see an opportunity to run an agenda on a certain thing that they want out, they'll make you offers to do a video about this or that or the other. Anyways, so there was one on the Menendez brothers, and I find it so interesting. It didn't go anywhere, clearly, because once this DA came in, I mean, I haven't heard any more news on the I haven't seen Garagos. Garagos, I believe, is like the attorney for the Menendez brothers. Okay. I haven't seen him say anything anymore. Right now, there's a huge push for Scott Peterson because Scott Peterson's got this documentary on A&E. Now, we had a documentary 2 years ago on Scott Peterson. So I'm like, well, he got denied for whatever he was appealing for. That was denied. So I want to know what new information do we have now that Scott Peterson is going to be released? That's what I want to know. So every time, it's been a thing, guys. Every time there's like a huge case like this, there's always a push. This Gypsy Rose stuff. Ooh, let me not say that because then that's going to piss off people. I'm giving too much information. Anyways, but there's something to be said about the Gypsy Rose and her popularity right now. That's what I'm going to say about that. Okay. If you're a Gypsy Rose fan, you got to have to wonder why. Anyways. Let's get into this commentary. Sorry, I took us to a whole different rabbit hole. That's what happens when I'm not medicated and I have ADHD. Oh, we are judging, you know, and I wanted to hang out with you guys too. So I feel like it's been a minute, but really it was yesterday. But
we listen and we don't judge.
Listen and we're judging. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay. All right. So let's get into this D4VD news. We had the DA do an interview where he kind of gave a review of updates on the case and what they're looking for and everything. So don't forget, we are literally a couple days away from the preliminary hearing, which will be live on. So let me go, and I'm going to go right to the timestamp because he talks about various other cases and whatnot. Okay, so we're going to go right into let's go to the 3, 4, yada, yada, yada. We'll go to 2 minutes. He also talks about Nick Reiner too, so we might get into a little bit of that, but not too much. So, Mr. DA over here.
But we can prove you were never there. That's a huge indicator of fraud. Mm-hmm. We're going one step further. We're actually trying to track down where these people actually were at that time. And when we put these cases together, we're going to prove them beyond a reasonable doubt and go after the fraudsters in court and put them in jail.
As well, yeah. And for protecting victims of sexual abuse to protecting pets, you're pushing for AB 2344, the Justice for Seized Animals Act. Talk about what happens to the animals that are seized and why we need to reform it.
So in many animal cruelty cases, there's an additional level of cruelty to the animal because the animal is kept in these shelters, often for months and months and months as these cases drag out. But we have actually sought through AB 2344.
This is why you guys gotta always adopt animals. Don't be, I mean, I know everybody loves a cute little puppy, but you know, our dog, by the way, is very old. I like our dog. He drives me crazy though, honestly, but we got him very old and he's still doing fine. He's like, we got him when he was 3 years old, and my oldest is what? He's at least, we've had him for 16 years, human years. 16 years, human years. So he was already 3. So keep that in mind. And that was through a shelter that we got him through.
Is to go ahead and allow the animal shelters to allow early adoption so that these animals don't go back to the abusers. In fact, part of the bill actually prohibits these animal abusers from ever getting and reclaiming ownership on these animals. It's important to make this, to engage in this important step to protect these animals, because not only have they been initially abused, but we're trying to stop the abuse through the process.
All right, let's switch gears, talk about the murder trial and singer Daveigh. You've got a hearing next week. Where do we stand on all of this?
So the preliminary hearing is set to begin on July 21st. We estimate that could take anywhere from probably 3 to 7 days, at which point we're going to present evidence to a judge to hold Daveigh, it's David Anthony Burke, the singer Daveigh, to answer on the charge of first-degree murder with special circumstances, as well as lewd and lascivious conduct with a 13-year-old. The evidence that's going to be presented is going to be very thorough. It's going to track her movements on that particular night back in April of 2025, all the way through the time at which, in September of 2025, her body was found all chopped up in various bags in the front trunk of a Tesla.
So your office has yet to determine whether to pursue the death penalty in that case. What factors will help determine the death penalty?
So we will look at the death penalty evaluation like we do in every death penalty eligible case. We're going to look at the aggravating and mitigating factors. We're going to reach out to David's lawyer to make sure that they have an input into the process. We'll talk to the victim's family. We'll talk to the most senior attorneys in my office who have done death penalty cases to determine whether or not this merits the death penalty. And finally, after that entire process, we will notify the court and the defendant whether or not we're going to seek the death penalty.
A lot of people are still wondering what's going on with Nick Reiner after allegedly murdering his.
So DA is talking about the case publicly. I mean, again, he's been pretty tight-lipped and everything about the case, but he's giving commentary interviews about what they plan to do. And I do wonder, man, I got to reach out to Pinche Becky just to see. First of all, I haven't seen her in a minute. I hope she's doing well. So I'm going to reach out to her and see if she's doing well. Venus Blue Cupcake, how are you, love? Shout out to my Venus Blue Cupcake member for 26 months. Shout out to you, love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My goodness. Thank you, love. 2 years and 2 months? Shout out to you. Thank you for supporting my channel. You said if someone is cruel to animals, it's possible that they do the same to people. Yeah, it's very indicator. That was our clue, that we will see some of the cell phone data at the preliminary hearing. We will see some of the cell phone data for the D4VD case at the preliminary hearing. I'm curious about the officers too. Man, I wish I was a fly on the wall, because at least I'd have a seat. That courtroom's going to be like crowded butt to gut right there. I mean, it was already crowded when they got that one video footage and camera. Oh my God, I'm hoping that they have some kind of footage. Something. Because it would be great. But it's going to be crowded. I already see it. Butt to gut. Oh my gosh. You said there is a chance of justice for her that was named after the heavenly realm. Yeah, it's gonna be crowded in there. But I would love to like see what's going on and what's said and what their arguments, because I'm assuming officers might be interviewed. I mean, you're talking about when the arrest happened, all of this, these details. Do they have a case? What do they? I don't know if they're going to get into what they found in the computer and everything. Yeah, I mean, a fly wouldn't be butt to gut there. You know, a fly would just be a fly. But would love to go. It's gonna be like no button to no gut. It's gonna be packing there. You already know. But it's anyways, I want to see what he says about Nick Reiner, because that's another one that we've been talking about. But we'll follow up on D4VD and stuff like that. I know that Law and Crime did a video yesterday, so we'll probably watch that maybe tomorrow and review a little bit about that. We're watching things here and there little by little because I want us to kind of work up to the 21st. We're literally on the 14th. I really hope I don't get selected for jury duty, but I have to check on the 20th. I got a summons, so we'll see. This for once, I don't want to be in jury duty next week. Out of all the weeks, they had to pick next week. Hopefully I'm not, but we'll see.
Parents, where does all that stand?
The next hearing in Nick Reiner is set for September. Again, at some point in the future, Nick Reiner will either go through a preliminary hearing himself. If the grand jury returns an indictment, that's another form of charges being filed against Nick Reiner. But the next date we have in court is in September.
But we understand that there are
Hey, so, and they're in the same facility. He's in the same facility as David, and I think he's like also in protective custody or something like that. You said, oh my God, y'all heard about the explosive diarrhea? No. Oh man. Really?
delays due in part to Reiner's autopsies, nearly 2 terabytes of discovery that need to be presented to the defense. Where does that process stand?
So again, a part of our obligation anytime we bring criminal charges is to make sure the defense has all the information, both favorable to the prosecution and even unfavorable to the prosecution. That is our obligation. In this case, anytime you have video or cell phone messages or witness interviews or forensics or a coroner's report, all that information has to be gathered up by the prosecution, turned over to defense, let them review it and prepare their defense.
All right, let's talk a little bit about MacArthur Park.
All right, let me stop right there. All right, well, there's the Nick Reiner news as well. Yeah, so listen, we're going to be here. We'll be live. I'm going to reach out to Pinche Becky. Pinche Becky, if you're watching the replay, hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you. I hope you're doing well. But I'm going to email you, girl, and see what's going on. And maybe we can get you out there. I'm sure it's going to be tight over there. It's going to be crazy. And next week at the preliminary hearing. I don't know if Flojo will be there, but if he is, that would be amazing. But that's okay if he can't be. So let's talk about, we're going to talk about Nolan Wells because, oh man. Okay, so I'm trying to understand. All right, maybe we should watch this video before we watch the interview. Just to refresh our memories, okay? Just a little bit. Now, please, yes, before I move forward, make sure you wash your produce and your hands because apparently people are having explosive diarrhea. And yeah, y'all need to wash your hands, okay? That's what you need to do. Oh my goodness. Just the thought of that is crazy work. I probably wouldn't be able to go live. I don't know. Just thinking about that. Okay. But let's go into this because there's been some controversy about the friend that spoke out. The friend that spoke out about who was actually yelling in the background in that video. We're going to talk about Nolan Wells. And then we're going to talk about this interview that Nolan Wells' parents and Ben Crump did. And we have to talk about that. There has been some speculation. There's been a lot. The officer is also speaking out on social media, talking about, I don't answer to rumors. I don't answer to speculation. So let's talk about what is going on with this and what is the issue? What's going on?
Clamoring for answers about the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells during a July 4th boat trip with friends. The sheriff is asking for help and pleading for patience.
I think it's important that we don't put ourselves on a timetable and that we don't rush ourselves. But I do think it's important to be diligent in gathering all the facts. That's what the family deserves.
Wells never returned from a remote barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
The very thing that makes Horn Island such an idyllic spot to hang out for the day is what makes the case tricky for investigators. There's nothing here. There are no phones, there are no cameras, there's no police. It's why authorities have asked anyone who was here July 4th with Nolan Wells to come forward.
Even if you may think that it might be insignificant, every little bit helps. And that may be a bigger contribution than you think to this case.
Could be a public tip that breaks it open for you.
Exactly.
A close friend of Wells, Trayston Shepard, says the group spent the day swimming and drinking.
Well, we were just having fun all day, and then as the day went on, people started to drink more and people started to get more drunk.
We asked
So that's the friend that they're calling out, guys, just so people are aware.
the sheriff whether drinking or drugs played a role in Wells' death.
Of course, the rumors are out there, but we don't respond to rumors. We respond to facts.
And as investigators attempt to build a full timeline of the teen's movements and whereabouts that weekend, this photo showing Wells at a pool party has been circulating widely online and has been shared by his family's attorney. ABC News confirming it was taken a week before he visited Horn Island. Authorities initially suspect Wells drowned, although the results of autopsies by both officials and the one the family ordered are pending. On our visit to the island, we heard from a local boat captain about how the scenic haven could quickly turn treacherous.
Down there at the end of the west end of the island, yeah, there's a current that can, get you really quick, and it gets deep.
So if you're an experienced swimmer, even that area of the island could be a little dodgy?
Yes, especially with the current down there at the very end. It kind of eddies. If you're out there trying to swim that deep, yeah. Time check, please.
His parents are now planning a funeral for their son, which his mother, Christine, posted overnight, guys, does not.
Yeah, it's called Horn Island. Horn Island. Yeah, so one of the friends, his mom is a judge.
Not feel real. She said all of her emotions are running together, and her post concluded, "We miss you so much, Nolan. It looks like that funeral is going to be early next week at one of the big convention centers here." Guys?
And Aaron, is there any indication when the coroner's report will be made available, which could shed some light?
It sure could, Robin, and there's a lot riding on that coroner's report, but there's no telling when it's going to be made public. There were no obvious signs of trauma that investigators saw right away. That's why they've suspected that he drowned, but they still aren't sure exactly why or what led up to that death.
See, and that's the part is like, yeah, but we don't suspect foul play. I just wish they wouldn't say anything if that's the case, like nothing.
And that's why they're counting on the medical examiner's report, the toxicology report, and the independent autopsy that the family is demanding.
Yeah, need some those questions answered.
All right, so let me stop right here. So this channel by the name of, I think it's Grio, okay? Nolan parents, we haven't heard from investigators since Tuesday. So I don't know if the investigators are reaching out to the family or not, but this was dropped yesterday. And again, shout out to this channel by the name of The Grio, and I'll make sure I link them in the description box so you guys can go sub up and everything. But this was an interview that was done yesterday. Let me see if I can fast forward a little bit, at least to here, because it's just some inconsistencies in certain areas.
And never made it home. Tonight, his parents, Christine Wansley and Elmore Wansley, and their lawyer, Mr. Ben Crump, are here to share about their fight for the truth of what happened to Nolan and also to tell us who Nolan was. Before we talk about anything related to the case, I want to express my condolences to you, Christine and Elmore, and to just say that you have been so inspirational in the midst of your pain and grief, the way you have advocated for Nolan. And I just want to ask, how are you doing?
Dark Chocolate, shout out to you. Like, who gave them the liquor and who was driving the boats? Or I don't think driving is the right word, but the boats. Like, somebody was using these boats. Somebody gave them permission to do that. I mean, I don't understand either. There's just so much to this. And clearly all of them were underage. None of them was 21. So somebody was there. There had to have been an adult.
Hanging in there, praying a lot, leaning on our family, our faith, our friends, our community that has really just rallied behind us during this tragedy. But yeah, all we can do right now is just take it day by day. But most importantly, taking care of each other, supporting one another, and just trying to keep our emotions kind of under control, because sometimes when you have, tragedies like this, you want to be angry. sometimes because you just want to know. But we've been, I feel like, doing a good job of just keeping each other accountable in that aspect of making sure that we stay level headed whenever we're speaking, making decisions, etc.
Yeah, and there's so many.
Hold up. You said nothing, not for nothing. You said that Plunder put out. I could check out Plunder's dispatch too. I have a membership on her thing. They have said that they didn't need Coast Guard. Hours later, they did. Wow. Ain't that some stuff? Okay. Literally, yeah, I want to know. I think that's the biggest thing. We want to know who supplied the alcohol and the rugs, if there was rugs, an adult buying my baby brother alcohol. How I lost him. I'm devastated for his family. I'm so sorry, Venus. I mean, truly. Let me see if I can fast forward a little bit because I want us to get to the part of the friend.
I sent a text. I was like, hey, this is Christine, Nolan's mom. Just wanted to get an update. We received a phone call, basically really no updates. And that was it. We've heard from no one else.
Wow. Mr. Crump, what's your reaction to that? Is there anything that indicates, is that abnormal for you as someone who's worked on many cases?
It certainly is, if you put it in context. I know I had the opportunity to talk with Byron Allen, and Byron and I really had a deep exchange because we talked about if the roles were reversed, this investigation would be handled totally different. I mean, you would have had those young men being interrogated. They would have been separated. It would have been like first 48. If you had 3 young black men with 1 young white man, and that young white man ended up dead. And so what Elmore and Christine and all of us have been saying, we want a zealous investigation for our son too. We want you to do for our son what you would do for anybody's son and get to the bottom of this because it's not adding up. And the fact that it seems like it's such a laissez-faire investigation. We take whatever they say as the gospel. We don't, press them on anything. We don't cross-examine them on anything. They say, Nolan said, I volunteer that I'm just going to stay behind. And I'm not even going to ask for my cell phone. They just take that as a grain of salt. And they know their child. They know the young person they raised. He would not have done those things, but they have articulated that over and over again. And so we have to hold everybody accountable. The local officials, the boys on the boat, everybody have to be held to account.
And to that point, I would like to ask, Elmore, you have spoken about conversations that you had with Nolan about staying with a group, always keeping in contact. Can you open up a little bit more about that father-son coaching that often happens with dads and boys?
You said even in the best conditions, drinking while boating is just not a good idea. No, it's not a good idea. Let's see. Did he die at the pool or at the... So they found his body in the water. That's what they're trying to figure out. Like, do we know whether he actually died in the water? I mean, it's been speculated. At least it's been led to believe that he drowned. Okay, if that is the case, then when did it happen? We don't even have a time frame of that, right? And whatnot. There was no pool party. The pool party was actually a photo from June 27th. Somebody put it out there. Ben Crump put it up on his social media, and it tagged it from a person. And so there was this speculation that grew from there. So that was not good, right? But also the picture was not from anywhere from the 4th of July weekend. It was literally from a separate party, separate date.
About how to move about in this world, because I think it's really powerful.
I think I can really thank my mother for that because I grew up with a lot of cousins and I was the smallest of the bunch. So I had to kind of defend myself against them a lot. But one thing that always stood out with us, with my family, was if we come together, we stay together. If one cousin fight, everyone fights. And I preach that same thing to my kids. If you go somewhere with someone, you come back with them, no matter what. Don't let a girl separate you from your safety net. It's plenty of girls. You see one here, you see one there. So for them to come back and that'd be the first thing that come out their mouth, like he decided to stay on the island and we left. That when they said that automatically just turned me off, but it turned on a question like, I know he wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I preach that to him every day. He would not do that. So you telling me that you're lying to me just off the rip, you're lying to me. I can't believe it. And I won't believe that.
I mean, they deserve answers. That's what it is, You said there's so many people there. How come nobody saw? That's the question. Well, did they all just kind of walk out there, and they're just, acting like, yeah, okay, like, I don't know. There's got to be a witness, yeah, and that haven't come forward. And I agree. And now that they've lawyered up, I mean, they're probably not going to. But the situation, I think, is just so sad. It's like these people that, apparently they grew up together. They grew up together. Okay. I don't know, man. If I have a childhood friend, that's childhood, right? Even if I knew, even if I didn't jump out there and say I knew what was going on, I would still say, like, what had happened. I don't know. You said, yeah, the but this younger generation doesn't really practice that, right? They don't really practice the, we stay together mentality.
I saw that today for the first time, because really a lot of folks who were there have been silent. We saw, people taking down their Facebook. It was almost an instant reaction that people went into to protect themselves. But Trayston Shepard described himself as Nolan's best friend. He gave an interview saying that he was the one who was yelling in one of the viral videos that people had been questioning, and said that it wasn't Nolan in the video, that it was him, and that Nolan met a girl that day that he really liked, even though he'd never, interacted with this girl before. Her name was Katie. Have you spoken to Trayston since Nolan's passing, and how are you responding to his account of what happened?
So first of all, we don't know Trayston. We've never met him. So to say, best friend, childhood friend, that's a bit of a stretch. We've never met him. He's never been to our home.
Trayston, the kid that was like in the interview, the one that I just showed with the Today Show or whatever, she's saying that they've never met him. How do you say that you're a childhood friend? She's never been to our home. Let me ask you guys in the chat. Have all your childhood friends been known by your parents? That's the question that I have. If you have a childhood friend, have all your friends, I mean, and I know everybody's parental dynamic is a little bit different, right? Like, but if I have a childhood friend, typically my parents are going to know that's my childhood friend, right? Like, they would know that. They would know they're either from the school or maybe from the church or whatever. Have y'all ever had a childhood friend that your parent has not met? Because typically your parent would know, yeah, that's a childhood friend, right? You said, yes, you've had a childhood friend that has never met your parents. Maybe I need to do a poll. That way I understand how the chat is voting, because we're saying yes or no, and I don't even know. Have you had a childhood friend that your parents have never met? Now consider the question. If you weren't raised by your parents, maybe you were raised by, I don't know, a guardian or something, switch that for your parents or for whoever, right? We're gonna hit okay. I'm gonna put the poll up here, and y'all go vote now. Okay, have you had a childhood friend that your parents have never met? Put a 1 in the chat if yes, and put a 2 in the chat if no. Put a 1 in the chat if yes. Put a 2 in the chat if no. Don't put no. Put a 1 in the chat if yes. Put a 2 in the chat if no. Okay, look at this. Is interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to put the balloons up, but it went up because it's censored. Have you had a childhood friend that your parents have never met? So a lot of you guys are saying that you've had a childhood friend that your parents have never met. I'm looking at the chat. Okay. All right. Okay. See, I'm glad that I did the poll. I hope the question is making sense to everybody. Have you ever had a childhood friend that your parents have never met? Put a 1 in the chat if yes. Put a 2 in the chat if no. Okay. So 56%, 58% is saying that they have had a childhood friend that their parent has never met. Okay. I'm looking to see how the chat. Okay, it looks like it's about to be even in a minute. Let's see how many votes we get. Okay. See if we can get to, I don't know, 80 votes. If we can get to 80 votes, that'd be great. I've honestly had the entire relationship from start to finish, and my parents were unaware of. Okay. And they're childhood friends, right? Yeah, I mean, childhood could be Don. Childhood could be from, I don't know, preschool to high school. You know, although they were not total strangers, my mom did meet my friend, but not often. Okay, Fox, you might want to put the number alone. Let's see if we can break a little bit about what's going on. Okay, so we have 40, maybe 50 plus votes. Why are you calling me? Hold up, guys. Okay, 50 plus votes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Thank you. You said, when you see how many people were out there, if this boy were to fall into the water, somebody would have seen it. You think somebody would have seen it? You said they aren't friends. They were ops. It's another thing to keep in mind. They could have been ops. I had a boyfriend. They never met, but not friends. Okay. All right. Okay. But to those friends would never describe themselves as my best friends. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Some people are still voting. Gotcha. You said those boys were not childhood friends, and the guy who comes out on the interview says that Nolan was his best friend. The parents said they never met him and never met his boy. And that's the question, old guys. Like, have your parents met all of your childhood friends? I'm gonna be honest with you. Personally, if it's a childhood friend, my parents have met. They've met him. Even if they've never spent the night, even if they've never but they might have gone to my house. Like I'm talking about childhood friend. Yeah, they would have gone to my house. Maybe we were outside or something, but they might have not, because we weren't doing the sleepover thing a lot. We didn't do that. So yeah, you said, yes, absolutely. Have seen it in the 4th of July. I bet it was packed. Interesting. There was over 200 people on the island, on the boat around this island. Okay. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Well, Amanda, I personally, even if we are putting too much into the statement, he did come out and make a statement, right? So with the controversy that's going on and the case being what it is, I mean, I feel like it's okay to put what we need to put on that statement. Hold up, guys. Sorry, guys. You said, I'm still friends with a group of girls they've known forever. Yeah. You said regular friends my parents never took interest in. Yeah. He was in the sports. The parents would have met friends. Yeah. So to me, I think it depends on the parents and parenting style. I don't remember my mom being home too often. That's the other thing too, right? Yeah. Best friends. Yes. All my classmates. No. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, now let me see. I think given the context, it's like if we are putting emphasis in that childhood, or not the childhood, but the best friend, I wouldn't even say childhood because they're discrediting it. I think it's important to say, well, he also made a statement. He kind of inserted himself in there. So yeah, a lot of what he says right now, it's going to be taken to face, it's going to be taken for what it is, a statement, if that makes sense. Okay. So I see that the poll is very interesting, but let me go back to what she said.
The girl that day that he really liked, even though he never, interacted with this girl before.
Okay, hold up. Let me go back a little bit more.
I won't believe that.
I saw that today for the first time, because really a lot of folks who were there have been silent. We saw, people taking down their Facebook. It was almost an instant reaction that people went into to protect themselves. But Trayston Shepard described himself as Nolan's best friend. He gave an interview saying that he was the one who was yelling in one of the viral videos that people had been questioning, and said that it wasn't Nolan in the video, that it was him, and that Nolan met a girl that day that he really liked, even though he never, interacted with this girl before. Her name was Katie. Have you spoken to Trayston since Nolan's passing, and how are you responding to his account of what happened?
So first of all, we don't know Trayston. We've never met him. So to say, best friend, childhood friend, that's a bit of a stretch. We've never met him. He's never been to our home. Now, if you were to say that about Jalen or Javon, I would say absolutely. You could say that those are childhood friends, those are best friends, because they've been to our home. We know their family. We're close to, their mother. But this young man, maybe high school, they started hanging out. or, kind of been around each other. But again, we don't know him. And not to discount anything he has said, which of course, still trying to rule those things out. But I mean, he has communicated. He did offer his condolences, which we appreciate. And he did let me know about that tidbit, which of course, like I've been telling everyone, if you have any information, forward that over to the local authorities. Make sure also forward that over to our legal team as well, just to make sure that we're looking at everying.
And this girl, Katie, who has been cited. Oh, yes, Mr. Crump, go ahead.
Let me say this to the young man. Not only does his parents, but some of his friends, they reject this notion about, he said, oh, he would just volunteer to stay. They're saying Nolan would never do that. So his friends are saying he doesn't.
If he was there or wasn't there, how would he know that he would just volunteer to stay? That's the part that I don't understand, because it's my understanding that he said that it was his voice. And if he believes that Nolan would have just volunteered, it's an opinion. I believe that Nolan would volunteer to stay there, but he doesn't know that he stood there, right? So it's what I'm saying. It's like, I get that he's the friend, and to me, it's like, well, he kind of inserted himself in here because none of the other friends are doing that, right? Everybody's kind of like lawyered up and been quiet and whatnot. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Saying that he would volunteer, well, why didn't you stay with him? I have a question. Like, if you were there, why didn't you stay with him? We might have to go back to his interview again. Well, and Abraham, I was corrected though. By the way, it's not remote like the way we would think that it's remote. It's not remote like somebody came into my chat. Remember, was it yesterday? They came in and shout out to this person. They were like, no, Rabbit, like in some areas, this is why you were able to track his whereabouts in the app, in the Life 360. You were able to track his whereabouts in the Life 360. Something was going on there. So I'm like, okay, so there might have been some spotty service or something. You said he is their spokesperson for that's Karma. Tell me, I mean, is he the spokesperson? Because I find it interesting. Everybody else, is quiet, lawyered up, but he's the only one that spoke out. And we'll go into his words, because I do think that their words are very interesting, and we could talk a little bit about that. Now, is it a unknown, like, all right, let me say this without sounding like really, really mean, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes people insert themselves into tragedies. They are it's either the friend or whatever, they might, insert themselves, right, to give commentary about a situation because they knew the person, but they might not be knowledgeable about what actually happened, which then makes things a little bit worse. I think if you're inserting yourself and you don't know. Now, I don't know. I'm just a commentator on the internet, right? But I have to kind of wonder, is he the spokesperson for all the friends? Because we're looking at you like you're the person that's answering for everybody, but you weren't there, right? I have questions. So let me go ahead and play this.
I don't really know Nolan if he's saying that Nolan volunteered to stay there. And we've had so many people now calling our call center saying, well, there was this argument, and then 10 minutes later, there was another argument. But those people who have called said, no, Nolan was in an argument. And so now we have to continue to investigate to try to figure out everything that happened. But we absolutely do not accept that he volunteered to stay behind, and he volunteered not to have his cell phone with him.
Yes, it's definitely unusual for any teenager to part with their cell phone. This young woman, Katie, who's been cited in these various recollections of what happened that day, do you know if she's been identified? Has anyone spoken to her?
She has been identified. I do not know if anyone has spoken to her. Again, we just have not heard much, right, from our local authorities, which we're glad that we have kind of taken this course, however it may end. We're glad we did, because of this right now, not, being able to have that communication. I just would think with situations like this, they would be more forthcoming, like, hey, let us keep you up to date. We understand the seriousness of the situation and, what you guys are going through. So yeah, but we don't know. We've never met Katie. I've never seen her in my life. She did reach out to me initially, just saying basically like it was a hey and bye type situation. And I was like, that's not what I'm getting from other people. So like I said, before, a lot of inconsistencies, and we just want transparency and a very thorough investigation, just like they would do for anyone else.
Mr. Crump, can you speak to what is the sort of game plan for the next few months to even 6 months? What is the ideal situation for how this plays out?
Let me stop right here. I'm going to go directly to the interview. This is the one that was dropped yesterday. Let's hear it. Let's hear how he describes. But already the titles, nobody would ever hurt Nolan. Friend of late Mississippi teen Nolan Wells says of the boat trip. Nobody would ever hurt Nolan. Okay.
I just know I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened.
He was with him the day he was last seen alive. Okay.
During a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they've ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. But there is growing frustration in the community, and his parents are skeptical, telling GMA Wells left his phone behind and they tracked it to one of his friends.
It was showing everywhere the phone had been, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land.
The sheriff said the parents have not turned over the phone to investigators. Their lawyers said they will. While the investigation goes on, Trayston Shepard wants the focus on his friend.
I want everybody just to relax and let everybody mourn the loss of Nolan, and let us remember him as in like the sweet guy. I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown.
Shepard told us he has spoken to the police, and the sheriff's department said both he and other friends of Wells have been cooperative.
Thoughts? Who are the ones not turning over the phone? It was the friend, one of the other friends that did not turn over the phone to dad, and then there was erased data from the phone. You don't, yeah. Tell a grieving family to relax. Relax. There you go. If he drowned, would you say his life was taken? Ooh, Tracy. Nobody would ever hurt Nolan. I think, look, I'm no expert, but I'm going back to what he's saying, okay?
I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
Nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see. But my question is, why weren't you? So the last time he saw him when he was with the girl, and then he kind of went away. That's the last time he saw Nolan too.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met.
So he's the one that took the boat back, and he stayed behind with the girl he had met. Y'all heard that, right? He took the boat back, and Nolan stayed back with the girl that he met. And nobody else, no other friend was with Nolan? Like, how many people were in this island?
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they've ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play.
So when did she last see Nolan? I don't know, man. This story is so, like, what in the hell is this? You said, why would he not have his phone? If he met this young lady while they were out there, he would need his phone to contact his friends and meet back up. I mean, it wasn't like the guy was going to, like, swim over to the, I mean, you dropped your friend off at the island, drop him off. You took the boat back. Was there no other boats for him to go back on? And if that's the case, then he would have stayed there. Was nobody else out there with her? The girl, was she not out there too? Does any of this make sense at all? Yeah, I thought it was a private. I mean, it had to have been private boats, right? They said that they had spoke to. I heard that the girl was spoken to, and she said that the story doesn't even match what's being said. Is any of this making sense? And you expect the internet not to speculate. I don't know, man. And when the family's saying, well, he's not a childhood friend, they didn't even know him like that. So I'm thinking that, it's not somebody that they knew.
Certainly. Natasha, I did want to just briefly remark on your last question. We have an investigation team that are talking to dozens of witnesses now. So we are trying to
it makes you wonder if he was the last one to see him alive. Or was it the girl? Who was the last person who saw him alive? If he is saying that he took the boat and he went back, so he left him and the girl there. Nobody else, he didn't get on any other boats, right? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? That's what I want to know. No other boats existed. No, there was no more boats.
Cross every T, and as we get those reports, we want to report to the family what people are saying in these interviews. So that's important, and I believe Kate is one who they are planning to talk to if they haven't already talked to her today. With that said, we are on a ferocious search for the truth. We plan on having, the independent autopsy preliminary findings to present, because we know when you deal with the state and the government, they can take for months before they release an autopsy. We've seen it in the past on other cases. We interviewed with you all, Natasha, where they took 6 months. They took a year just to release the autopsy. We plan on trying to make sure we can retrieve these deleted messages. That's going to be really important. We know that others deleted their messages. If law enforcement wanted to convince us they were doing a thorough job, they would say, no, those messages, you are deactivating your social media and whatever texts and snaps that happened on that July 4th weekend, those can be very relevant to why Nolan Wells ended up dead. So why aren't you all retrieving those text messages and those snaps? Because again, as Byron and Alan talked about with so much conviction, that would have been the level of scrutiny and zealousness had the roles been reversed. And so that's what we keep fighting on. But I do believe this, Natasha. Young people are talking. There are a lot of young people out there. Nobody believes that Nolan either fell off a boat or jumped in the water without people seeing it. That would make no sense. And if that is the case, then why didn't people try to help him? Or people didn't try to do anything? It's not adding up. It is not adding up.
One of the things that has really just confounded so many people is, again, this question of a cell phone being separated from a young person and other people possessing that cell phone, but not knowing where the young person is. Do we have any more insight into who passed the phone to who? What's the explanation for how the cell phone ended up in someone else's hands? Elmore or Christine, do you know?
So it's unclear, like I said, and Elmore has said, I just cannot fathom Nolan leaving his phone. Even his best friends are like, no, if Nolan was going to stay anywhere, if theoretically, because
and I mean, you can't, if he was going to swim back, if that was the case, let's just say he was swimming back, you can't swim with your cell phone, right? I mean, it's going to get wet. But I don't see, we're not even getting a time frame of when he last saw his friend or when they left back. So he just left back. He was like, all right, you guys go. I'm going to stay with this girl. What?
That's not Nolan's character. But theoretically speaking, if he were to, then what he would say is, hey man, give me my phone. Let me grab my phone or something. He would take his phone. So to sit there and say that, oh, he just left his phone, like that's hard for me to believe. I don't see any teenager without their phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to keep my phone on me, at all times. So no. But as far as like the retrieval, when the boys called, I was tracking, I was like, he's on land. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, no, his phone is not with him. And so my friend Tashima, she went to go pick the phone up because we were trying to figure out who do we call to file this report with. As I'm being told by his friends, like, oh, don't worry. Like, we're going to find him. It's going to be okay. Absolutely not. Don't ever tell a parent that. Don't ever tell a parent, like, you call me and tell me my child is missing. And then it's, oh, well, it's going to be okay. Like, we're going to find him. And this is how we found our child. So
it's a lot. As a parent, I again grieve with you and can only imagine how painful this has been. Elmore, I want to ask you for just the larger picture here. How did you all come to be in Mississippi? Are you a generational family that has lived there for a while? Did you move there? And what's your feelings about a lot of discussion, frankly, in the country about this being a sort of bringing up old pain? Mysterious cases of a young Black boy going missing. What are your thoughts?
Well, my family is originally from Mississippi. My uncles were, I guess you could say, the famous Wansley family out of Moss Point. They were like the three brothers that play in the NFL. So my family is originally from here. As far as the history of Mississippi, teaching education has changed. When I was in school, we really got into the history of Mississippi. And that's what me and Christine, we were trying to teach our children because we feel like that they don't teach it well enough anymore. It's watered down. It's
like a couple of pages, if that, and you're done. Because even when I was in school, it was very short. Like when you discuss Black history, next to nothing.
And so that's why we constantly talk to our boys about things, about situations. I would give them scenarios about things that happened to me and just tell them, just trying to prepare them. And I know that I was not going to be able to be there for them every day, and every minute. But if that situation was able to come toward their way, they would have some kind of idea of how to deal with it instead of just being blindsided about it. As far as that day goes, it hurts me because I wish I could have been there. But like I told in previous interviews, it was his last time to really have fun before he got to report back for camp. So we let him have fun.
We wanted him to have a good time, just blow off that last bit of steam so he could recenter himself and have he was gearing up for a great season.
Yes.
They had been working, every day he had been working, just practicing some stuff and then also hitting the gym. So he was having multiple workouts today. And then for this to happen, it's so devastating.
It's just another reason why when you come tell me that my son stayed on the island when he had so much in place, so much stuff he was getting ready to do.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say that to me and then think I'm going to just take that for face value.
Exactly.
Now, another interview, let me stop right here that people are talking about. I want to show you guys because, again, this is from Hype. We talked about Hype yesterday because it was the judge that did the commentary here. But apparently,
Right Plus News, I'm John.
Listen to this.
The investigation around Nolan Wells' mysterious death continues to heat up, and this time the FBI is now stepping in to look into what happened. As you can recall, Wells was enjoying a remote island off the coast of Mississippi for the 4th of July when he would be reported missing close to 11 p.m. Now, suspicions would grow because the friends he traveled to the island with, known as Horn Island, would allege that Nolan decided to stay back to talk to a girl. That will be one of the first indications for Nolan's father, Elmore, that something was off.
I preach that same thing to my kids. If you go somewhere with someone, you come back with them, no matter what. Don't let a girl separate you from your safety net. It's plenty of girls. So for them to come back and that'd be the first thing that come out their mouth, like when they said that, they automatically just turned it turned me off, but it turned on a question like, I know he wouldn't do that.
Not only did it seem unusual that Nolan would leave his group, but the fact that he didn't keep his phone with him if he voluntarily stayed has been the biggest red flag for many. Nolan's body would later be found washed ashore 2 days later after a search and rescue mission was conducted. Now, at the center of his passing lies a racial aspect that many can't ignore, given that Nolan was the only black teen amongst white teens on his boat, and that the incident would take place in Mississippi. According to stats platform Statista, Mississippi is known for having the most lynchings in any state in America, with 93% of those lynchings being black people. It is because of Mississippi's history, and for some present day, that local officials handling the case can't be fully trusted. Now, on Tuesday, a new update from the sheriff over the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Ledbetter, would speak with reporters to share an update. According to Ledbetter, he and his team are not going to be pressured to rush their investigation, but will reveal that the FBI and other agencies have now stepped in.
We put out a call to action last week for that information, and it has been very productive for us.
Ledbetter did confirm that interviews have been conducted with witnesses, and the department has been in contact with other departments and agencies, including the FBI.
Rumors are out there, but we don't respond to rumors. We respond to facts.
From research, it is said that majority of Horn Island is federally owned, which could be a reason as why the FBI is now getting involved, as the agency specializes in crimes occurring on federal property.
Which could be a reason why the FBI is now getting involved. I don't think they haven't, the FBI doesn't announce when they get involved, you know what I mean? But that would make sense, though, if it's a remote island type of situation. Now, to be fair, like I said, I've heard different things. I've heard that we've heard that it's remote and also not, like there's some level of service or something, because she was able to track him through the app, or it's somebody through the app that was kind of like going all over the place with the 360 app. You said, I looked at the map at Horn Island and it is remote. There is no structure like houses or businesses. I mean, it's pretty plain. I would say that's remote to me, but some folks said that it's not, don't consider it remote because there is some level of service and people go party there all the time. I'm like, well, did people go camp there? I don't know. You said, I think his parents are handing the phone to the FBI. I hope that they do, because apparently when they got the phone, some stuff was deleted, I don't know.
Like military bases or national parks, or can even get involved at the request of local officials. And for some, their involvement now appears to mean foul play has not been completely ruled out. Now, despite Ledbetter assuring that his team is doing a thorough investigation as to what happened to Wells, it appears that Wells' family is still not trusting their local authorities fully, especially after recently admitting in an interview with the Grio on Monday that the sheriff's department has not made contact with them since last Tuesday, in which their attorney, Benjamin Crump, would comment was a little odd.
So I'm going to be honest, we have not heard from our local authorities since last Tuesday. We received a phone call, basically really no updates, and that was it. We've heard from no one else.
Now, another issue that some have had with the local authorities' steps in the case was Ledbetter first sharing that he did not suspect any foul play. The announcing of this before an autopsy was even complete troubled many following the case, adding to their fears that a cover-up may be in the works. Now,
I think he shouldn't have said anything. And yes, by the way, here's the article too. Jackson County Sheriff's John Ledbetter said his department has conducted witnesses interviews and has been in contact with other agencies, including the FBI. So it would make sense for the FBI to be involved if it's like inland or whatever, Is that how you say that? Yeah, like a different area. You say can't trust people. Yeah, the parents should petition the state's attorney general to take the case from locals. I agree, First Liberties. I really do agree. And I mean, why not? It happened in water, right? If we're saying like his body was found in water, we're talking about a remote island. If that's a remote island, I've never been there, but I'm trusting what you guys are saying. Different people have said different things. If we're saying this, yeah, why not allow the FBI to take over and allow the FBI to look at it? Yeah, I can pull a map Driftwood. I definitely could. Cell service varies. Yeah, so Tammy, that's what they were saying, is that sometimes the cell can be spotty, but apparently through the 360 app, Live 360, you're able to get some of it. I agree on this, but let me see if I can pull a map so we can look at it, okay?
Concerns for many is that the autopsy done by local officials have yet to still be released. According to local outlet WLOX, results from it are expected to come within several weeks, with a toxicology report being done by outside laboratories. And because of this, that timeline makes many uncomfortable as they realize how crucial every moment is. Now, it is also noted by a local coroner's office and from a secondhand report by a member of the Cajun Navy who helped with Nolan's search, his body did not appear to have any signs of physical injury. There were no immediate signs of physical injury. Jackson County.
But I think also note, like, water and bodies in water can look a little bit different and whatnot. Look at this. So give you guys an idea. Let me put this back. So, wow, I didn't know this thing extended. Hold up. So this is what they're saying is Horn Island, right? My goodness. It's like a lot of little islands and whatnot from this area. Now, let me see if I can put myself in Horn Island. Let's see. Can we do that? Can we drag ourselves there? Or would I have to zoom in? I mean, I don't see people go here for what, though? Like, Horn Island. It's just like a piece of land. It looks very unincorporated. Hold up. Here we go. So why would a group of kids be here? Or not even kids, but young adults. What is it? What's here? Look at this. It is long, right? Yeah, but like, it's like almost like a beach area, but it's like, what else is in here? You know what I mean? Like, and the stretch is pretty long. You're not talking about, oh, there's a little hut restaurant right there or anything like it's nothing is here. So this is why they maybe call it remote, because there isn't a whole lot. Like, what would you be doing here? Literally. I mean, oh, the graphics. You could see the other island over there. Look at this is where all the ships, I guess, not ships. No ships are there. The boats are docked. They're docked there. But there's nothing really like to see. Why go here? And why would Nolan stay here? That's the question. That's where you do shenanigans. You said it's very common for people who have boats or charters a boat for the day. Anyone know the name of the girl? I think they called her Katie. Is that her name? They wanted to make sure that they could get the phone checked out before the police got to it. Yeah. If any animals got to it, it could also cause additional damage to the body. That's right. It's very hard when it comes to bodies of water. The FBI most likely won't be biased on this case. Well, we hope not. We hope not. Ooh, okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, that's her name? Oh man, y'all got the last name and everything. It's a party spot. Different areas will have little secluded areas where young people will party. In some places it's caves or woods. You said, I don't buy that he stayed willingly. And this is what I'm saying. There's nothing for him to stay. And even if it was a girl, like, I don't know. You said me at 18 would have had a blast there. Let's see. Currents can take the best swimmers out fast. They don't resurface for days. Yeah, and I mean, if there was alcohol involved, I would imagine this being a thing. You said, I heard that she was with her parents, and has there been anyone more than that? No. So who else was in this island too? That's the question. Who else was here? Right? I don't know. For me at 18, I probably wouldn't have been here because I don't be liking these kinds of places. When I was young adult, I would have loved a place like this. Look at y'all. This is a lake, not a river. That's a great question. Let me zoom back. It's not a lake. I didn't get lake, but let me see. I mean, I'm trying to see what else is that. So there's Horn Island, and then I don't know where they came from here, but there's a lot of little islands in this area. Hold up, let me see. See, if you look at this area, like, look at that. Just looking at the area, I mean, they're just, it's interesting the amount of ocean that's there. But I guess this is where they go and party. So there's the Alabama. There's the what is it called? The line between Alabama and Mississippi. Yeah, I do think that they should get the FBI involved, honestly, because I just don't think that they're going to get anywhere with anybody here. You said that's smack in the middle of open water. It is right in the middle of open water. That's right. It's the Gulf of Mexico. Don't forget. Thank you. Not the Gulf of America. The Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to give me a shirt that says the Gulf of Mexico forever. And anyone who knows, it's like salt water. Well, it's all salt water. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if you would consider that a lake per se. What would you consider that? You said, I don't trust it. What if there's an emergency? Can't get any help. That's right. Y'all said it's beautiful. I can't, man. Shout out to y'all. But you said the water is clearer there? Okay. And you're from there. Yeah, so was Katie with her family members? The family members took her off the island, but I guess left him behind. And then Katie said he went missing. He went with her friend. That's why I'm like, I don't understand. The story is not making sense. That's it. It's just not. Okay, now, clearly we know that his body was found in water. We just don't know the matter of death. Did he drown? Was he beat to death and then put in the water? Was he held in the water? We don't know any of this. We don't. There's a lot to say about this. Hey, Mark, how are you? I hope you're doing well. It's the ocean. There are dolphins and sharks. Yeah. Well, I heard that they can be very rough. The waters can be rough. You said, Katie said he went with the friends, and the friend said he went with Katie. That's what I'm saying, T-Kels. There's inconsistencies in the story. Katie said he went with the friends, and the friend said he went with Katie. What's his name? That guy right there? The friend who's saying that he went? They're giving a different story of this. So why is the girl who they said he met a girl, and he went with the girl, and you guys decided to leave on boat while you're drinking? Mind you, they were drinking, okay? Because he said you guys left your friend there. You guys took off on the boat. I'm not even saying that the friends, because we don't know. But what if somebody in the island did something to him? What if we don't know how many people are coming and going from that island. What if that happened? We don't know. You said one of the pictures that was shown there, like 6 boats, they said they had 200 people. You could see them and you could hear the music. So if they decided to stay, how are they going to go home? You know, the waters do get rough in the open seas. That's right. There is a lot of questions that I have. So he just drowned. He just said, well, I'm just going to get on another boat. Was there any empty boats in the area that he could have been on and maybe he fell from the boat? But we don't even see that, guys. So I'm saying it's like none of this is making sense. None of it. I'll check my Discord. Hello, Joe. Gotcha. Ooh, who is this? Alacia? Is that how you say that name? Okay, let me read this. Bro, no. Didn't get into a fight. And the island, it was our other friends, No and Wyatt, did get into an altercation right after that. Not even 10 minutes later, because Wyatt took his phone and Evan was trying to be hard. Nolan was definitely screaming, give me my fucking phone. Yeah, give me my fucking phone back. That was the other thing that was said. Give me my fucking phone back. N-word with wrong. What's wrong with you? So they all calmed down. So that's when we heard, that's when we head to Evan's house because he was throwing a pool party. So yes, No came to the party and yes, we were drinking, but Wyatt and Evan and Morgan and Andrew was really high. And I think they was trying to get Lucy and Natalia to come to try some as well. And yes, they got into it again at the pool party. It didn't end until 1 a.m. I know Evan's mom kicked us all out. Once they started fighting, it was Andrew and Evan and Wyatt and Warren was basically recording and laughing, saying, get at him. And all I could hear was No screaming, Mom. So they call him No instead of Nolan. So it's like short for Nolan. So yes, I tried helping them, his mom, come out, screaming, yelling, drunk, make us leave, and was saying she was going to call the cops on us if we didn't leave her house. But they didn't. They let No leave, and No was in the basketball goal that was in basketball goal that was inside the pool. Okay, goal. He was leaning over. Besides, he was grasping for air and spitting up blood. But now his mom knows. I just got off the phone. Oh my God. New posts and photos continue to surface on the Nolan as well. So who are these? So these were the kids, Wyatt and everybody? What in the hell? Let me see if I can pull this account. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pull it. Thank you, Flojo. And let me hold up. Is this on Instagram? Okay. Interesting. Hold up. Oh, there's nothing else here. Let me see. Remove this. 1 second.
Hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
And said that it wasn't Nolan in the video, that it was him, and that Nolan met a girl that day that he really liked, even though he'd never, interacted with this girl before. Her name was Katie. Have you spoken to Trayston since Nolan's passing, and how are you responding to his account of what happened?
So first of all, we don't know Trayston. We've never met him. So to say, best friend, childhood friend, That's a bit of a stretch. We've never met him. He's never been to our home. Now, if you were to say
Okay.
that about Jalen or Javon,
Hold up. This is the account. This was posted 2 days ago. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Let me make sure I'm careful here. Overnight, my inbox was flooded with messages about the Nolan Wells case. As more people review social media posts, archive photos, and comments, new claims continue to circulate online. One post shared by a woman claims she witnessed events involving Nolan and others on July 4th. In the post, she described an alleged altercation Nolan claims was heard yelling, "Give me my effing phone back," and says she later spoke with Nolan's mother. These claims have not been independently verified by investigators. At the same time, social media users say that they located and preserved photos that they believe were later removed from the accounts of people connected to the case. Among them are a photo of several young men in the water, a pool party photo that some online users claim included Nolan. Comments that were allegedly posted before some images were deleted or accounts were changed. None of these posts or photos or comments have been authenticated by law enforcement. They're being widely shared online because many people believe they could help establish a more complete timeline of events. What is clear is that the public is paying close attention. Nolan's family has reportedly said that they want the truth, not rumors. If anyone on Horn Island attended these gatherings, you're asked to, of course, contact the family and everything. Okay, and then it says new post. All right, wait, I read this. So these are these individuals there. I just read this right now. This picture right here we know is not accurate. This picture is from June 27th. So it's not from that weekend. But could it have been a different pool party as far as maybe they were planning to go to the same spot? Maybe. You said there's a lot of lies going around about this case. Well, some is up, man. Some ain't right, and I don't understand why. You said also a friend that claimed that he was beat at a pool party. Nolan's mom had already said that she had no clue who that is, and they were looking for him at the time. Wow. I want to know whose boat it was. I mean, there's a lot that I want to know that it doesn't seem like we're going to get the answers to anytime soon at all. But somebody knows something, right? Like, I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying that this is like, hold up. I'm not buying that this is a situation where it's like, oh, we just, this just kind of happened. It's just, no, I don't know, man. Let me see something else. Newly released footage. This is July 9th. Okay, we already reviewed this. Newly released footage of the fight. No, that's not Nolan. This wasn't Nolan's first trip. Look, somebody said this wasn't Nolan's first trip with this group of friends. Nolan posted trips with his friends on a boat back in November of 2025. Why? So Nolan had been on this trip before with these people, with this group of friends. I mean, I'm just going to say this. Like, I'm not going to, they are trying to find answers for their, they're trying to find answers, and I don't blame them at all for trying to do what they have to do. That's insane, man. I don't know. Will we find the answers? That's the question. Are we going to get answers? You said, let's see. They said that it was one of the boys' parents on the boat. Well, somebody bought the beer or the alcohol, right? I don't know. Somebody bought something. You said, yeah, he's been on Horn Island before, right? The metadata was basically said that the metadata was from June, based on news articles. Rolling Stone also did it, but local news did a video, or not a video, I'm sorry, they debunked it. No, not yet. We're waiting. Do they typically make statements like that? Or they just get involved? I don't know, man. Some of this is just sus in general. Don, thank you for so much for your 28-month membership. Undertow in golf is bad. At 6, I learned that. Ooh. Thank you, Don. 28-month member. Thank you, love. Thank you for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, can you blame? Let's see. There was also the issue of the boat that they were on being cleaned at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Like I stated, they're already looking for him when the person claimed that he was at the party. You said, where was his phone and his keys? His mom said they had no clue who the person was. Look, like I said, they got to do what they got to do. You said, no, if it's in their jurisdiction, they usually don't say anything about this FBI director. That's what I'm saying. This FBI director loves a PR moment, right? Yeah. I agree, Joy. I don't understand. I don't. My thing is like, and I'm trying my best not to get in the weeds of certain things, but it's like, it doesn't matter how anybody feels. The family deserves answers. They're not getting the answers, and they're doing what they have to do to get the answers. And if I was in their place, I would be doing the same. Right? Something's up. This story doesn't make sense. Even if he drowned, tell me how he ended up in the water. Did he walk himself there? Did he fall into the water? He got dropped off the island? Was he on a boat? Did he try to get back? Nobody knows. It doesn't make sense. Somebody saw something. It doesn't make sense, guys. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. You said that's uncommon. Usually when you dock back your boat, it always gets clean. I don't know, man. You said if he has his jacket. The parents also said the pool party was in June. Yeah, the pool party, that photo is inaccurate. For the date, at least. And the pool party, the parents have said it was in June. Somebody answer why they cleaning the boat at 3 a.m. that the boys were on. Whoa, see, I didn't know that. Who said that? Where did you find that information? Somebody saw something. So yeah. It's a shame that lawyering up means you cannot say anything or publicly support family. I think that there's nothing wrong. We've said this before, nothing wrong with lawyering up. I think people need to lawyer up. But if it's a childhood friend, I mean, if it was an accident, it's an accident. You say what happened. I just don't, I don't know. I see things a little bit different because it's like, I mean, maybe I feel like there would be no reason for me to cover up a childhood friend. You know what? This is what I saw. This is what happened. Did I see that he, drowned? No, yes, whatever it may be. So what is wrong with just saying what it is? What's happening? It's what I don't get. Well, and maybe that's why they're not saying anything. Maybe they were like pranking him and allowing him to stay there and that he drowned. Maybe that's what happened. To see that this is like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. And I agree. I would need answers too if I was them. I didn't think of that. Like Karma said, prank gone wrong. Maybe they were, if there was tension between them, maybe they decided to play a prank and then it went wrong and then he drowned. And instead of like, hell, even calling for help or anything, they literally just left him there. Something. There you go. You said personally. Well, I think it's interesting that this friend, this friend, does she lay a pretty good? Oh, maybe we could watch a little bit of it. I think it's interesting that this friend, though, for Liberty's podcast, like he's the one that's saying, "Well, we left them with the girl," and then the girl is contradicting what they're saying. Now, two things could be correct, right? Like the girl could be contradicting because maybe she's got some, maybe her and her family, maybe something happened there. But this young man didn't just end up. I mean, we don't even know if he was drinking. Let me see if I can pull Annie Elise. Okay. Let me see if I can go right. Shout out to Annie Elise. I hadn't even watched this. Make sure you guys check her out. See if we can search the timeline. Okay, here we go.
That remain completely unaccounted for. His parents.
All right, hold up. Shout out to Annie Elise.
At the time of this recording. Authorities also, as I mentioned, have not classified Noah's death as a homicide, but an accidental drowning has also not been officially established either. And between the conflicting accounts, the unexplained possession of Nolan's phone and his keys, the alleged argument on the island, and the many hours of this timeline that remain completely unaccounted for, his parents believe that there is much more to this story. So what I want to do with you today is carefully walk through everything that is currently known about Nolan and those final days and hours. I'm going to walk you through the friends that he traveled with, the young woman that he was reportedly spending time with, the disputed accounts of whether Nolan remained on the island or got back onto the boat, and of course, the search that followed and the moment that his body was tragically eventually discovered. I'm also going to get into what Nolan's parents have now said publicly and why they ended up bringing in a civil rights attorney, the family attorney, Ben Crump, to activate this, to take charge of this. And we also will talk too about the response from the mother of one of Nolan's friends and the independent investigation that the family is now pursuing. Which I want to just say this too, throughout this episode, I want to be very clear about what has actually been confirmed and what is only alleged and remains speculation or rumor. Because even though there are a lot of unanswered questions here, Nolan was not just the subject of a developing investigation. He was an 18-year-old kid, and I get it, technically an adult, but
no, I'm like 18. Joey says, but why would they lawyer up before the body was even found? Also, the fact that one of the kids' mom is a judge worries me. Yeah, that whole situation, Joey, you and I feel you on that one, because I feel like that in itself, I mean, yeah, definitely. He said, I think that this was the result of irresponsible behavior under the influence, which they should have been under, which is why the parents are not saying anything. Ooh. You think that the parents, I don't know if what the parents know, honestly, we just don't know. There's a similar story in Texas here where another black teen boy was fishing with his friends and then his body was found in April. A white kid was recently arrested. Hey, and speaking of body of waters in Texas, there's this thing too, right? That like, there's always bodies that are found in Texas with bodies of water and whatnot. I kind of have to wonder about that too. I mean, but the thing is, it's like water is like the perfect place. I hate to put it this way, but it's like the perfect place to hide crimes, conceal things, because, water and then marine life, I mean, it does something to the body, right?
18-year-old kid, a college football player who had plans for a future. He had a family who adored him. He had a birthday coming up the following month. Those closest to Nolan describe him as social, hardworking, just extremely kind-hearted. His college football coach said that Nolan never even seemed to have a bad day. He would regularly stop by the coach's office just to talk. And people say that he had the ability to connect and socialize with practically anyone. His former high school coach described him as the kind of son, teammate, friend, and student that every coach hopes to have. He said that Nolan carried himself with humility and treated others with respect and led by example. Nolan's parents also described their son as a natural peacemaker, which I think is very important when we get into the allegations of the argument and the confrontation before the boat left the island. They said that he disliked confrontation and that he was not somebody who wanted to fight or even argue.
Now, let me say this real quick. Thank you, FloJo. So FloJo sent me something. He said, let's talk about Nolan's story. Nolan's mother has publicly stated that the young woman behind a viral post was not one of Nolan's close friends and that she has never spoken or met with her. Like, there's a lot, it seems like a lot of people are like saying they were Nolan's friend for proximity. I'm not really sure what to think of this. This is like a mess. It's like, can we, what are we doing? What are we doing? Everybody's Nolan's. I'm like, we got to be able to verify. Now, at least the other kid, it was kind of like, well, he was actually there. We know that because he said that he went with the girl. It's just, I'm like, everybody's claiming to be somebody's friend at this point. Yeah, you did send it to me, Joey. I just haven't had time to review it. Anyways, let me hit play on this.
The island and the many hours of this timeline that remain completely unaccounted for, his parents believe that there is much more to this story. So what I want to do with you today is carefully walk through everything that is currently known about Nolan and those final days and hours. I'm going to walk you through the friends that he traveled with, the young woman that he was reportedly spending time with, the disputed accounts of whether Nolan remained on the island or got back onto the boat, and of course, the search that followed and the moment that his body was tragically eventually discovered. I'm also going to get into what Nolan's parents have now said publicly and why they ended up bringing in a civil rights attorney, the family attorney, Ben Crump, to activate this, to take charge of this. And we also will talk to you about the response from the mother of one of Nolan's friends and the independent investigation that the family is now pursuing, which I want to just say this too. Throughout this episode, I want to be very clear about what has actually been confirmed and what is only alleged and remains speculation or rumor. Because even though there are a lot of unanswered questions here, Nolan was not just the subject of a developing investigation. He was an 18-year-old kid, and I get it, technically an adult, but an 18-year-old kid, a college football player who had plans for a future. He had a family who adored him. He had a birthday coming up the following month. Those closest to Nolan describe him as social, hardworking, just extremely kind-hearted. His college football coach said that Nolan never even seemed to have a bad day. He would regularly stop by the coach's office just to talk. And people say that he had the ability to connect and socialize with practically anyone. His former high school coach described him as the kind of son, teammate, friend, and student that every coach hopes to have. He said that Nolan carried himself with humility and treated others with respect and led by example. Nolan's parents also described their son as a natural peacemaker, which I think is very important when we get into the allegations of the argument and the confrontation before the boat left the island. They said that he disliked confrontation and that he was not somebody who wanted to fight or even argue.
Yeah.
His mother has also been very clear that she does not want people threatening, harassing, or attacking anyone connected to this case because, as she said, that's not who Nolan was. So let's talk about the night before this all went down, July 3rd, the night before the 4th of July, Independence Day, the day that so many people here in the United States just party and celebrate and go out and, lots of debauchery usually ensues after it. So the night before the trip, Nolan went to his parents' home and cooked salmon for the family. His mother said that everything seemed completely normal. There was nothing about Nolan's demeanor that suggested that he was afraid, upset, or expecting any kind of trouble. Before leaving, Nolan hugged his mom goodbye, neither one of them knowing that this would be the final time that his parents would see him alive. Okay, fun little fact about me. I am very scent driven. If somebody smells...
Shout out to Annie Elise and her sponsors. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me see if I can... Back to the case. Okay, here we go.
Went to their home, cooked salmon for the family, and then hugged his mother goodbye before leaving. Nolan apparently spent the night at or near the home that was connected to the friends that he had planned to travel with. His father later said that when he went to retrieve Nolan's keys and figure out what was going on, Nolan's vehicle was still, in fact, parked in the yard of the home where Nolan had stayed with the group before the trip. So that brings us to the day of the trip, the boat trip to Horn Island, July 4th. On the morning of July 4th, Nolan traveled with his group of friends to Horn Island to celebrate the holiday. The boat reportedly departed from a private dock in the Ocean Springs area. And let me just tell you about Horn Island a little bit, because I think that the logistics of it and the state of the island itself are really important details that give context to this entire situation, because it's an uninhabited barrier island located roughly 7 miles off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It is approximately 11 miles long, and it can only be reached by boat. Now, attorneys for Nolan's family have said that there may have been approximately 200 people on or around the island that day. I don't know much about Horn Island, but from what I've been able to gather and what I've seen on social media, it does seem like it's a hot spot to travel to by boat, where you pull up, people get on the, I don't know if you call it, whatever, shoreline. People drink, they party, they hang, they play football, whatever it is you want to do. But you don't really ever go into the island, because apparently there's like cactus, heavy terrain, lots of stuff. But it is something where, like, when you're out on the boat, you'll stop and party, which for me, I don't remember what the name of the island was, or if it's not technically an island, but in California, we would always go to Havasu, Lake Havasu. And there are certain parts by, the London Bridge and different areas where everybody goes and gathers, and that's where everybody parties. They're doing.
I don't think I've ever done anything like that. That's interesting. Little islands and stuff like that. Okay.
And the boat hopping, beer bonging, going onto this shoreline, whatever it is you're doing. So it seems like, according to the attorney, that this was kind of a hot spot for the 4th of July. Up to 200 people either on the island or around the island that day. A photograph also has circulated publicly that shows Nolan on the boat with his arms around 3 of his friends, 3 of his white friends, which I'm saying that because it becomes a point of conversation in all of this. And as if he's having a good time. Authorities have said that the friends who traveled with him were cooperating with the investigation, although family attorney Ben Crump later said that the friends had retained attorneys. Now, one of those friends has been publicly connected to Jackson County Judge Ashley Cole. Ashley has said that her son was friends with Nolan, and more than that, he was part of a group that traveled to the island. Some online reporting has identified her son as Warren, but authorities have not publicly released a complete verified list of every single person who traveled in that original boating group. However, I have found that online out there. But the fact that Judge Ashley holds a position in the same county where the investigation is taking place, I mean, that has naturally fueled a lot of public concern about a possible conflict of interest. It kind of brings me back to the Murdaugh family in a weird way, where when you have people in positions of power and influence and you have children possibly acting poorly, and I'm not saying that her son was, we don't know yet what really happened, but it just allows for more room of like the gray area, the cover up, corruption. And so a lot of people are calling this out as a conflict of interest. And I have to say, I don't love it either. It fueled a lot of public concern, as a matter of fact. However, like I said, there's no verified evidence that she has influenced or participated in the investigation. Ashley has also said that her son has fully cooperated with law enforcement. So let's talk about what happened on the island when the boat reached it, when they were out and about. Publicly available photographs and witness descriptions indicate that Nolan was socializing, swimming, and spending time with other people on the island. His family has emphasized, as I said, he was a strong athlete. He was a capable swimmer, which is one main reason that they are skeptical of the preliminary suggestion that he simply drowned accidentally. Now, being a strong swimmer, of course, it doesn't automatically rule out accidental drowning.
My thing is that if he was left in the island, why would he need to swim back? And that's the part where I forget who said it in the chat, but they said maybe they played a prank on him. Like I'm thinking in my mind that they left him there as a prank. He goes back, he's like, maybe freaking out, I'm not really sure. And then he starts swimming back. And then he gets tired and, there is he drowns or something to that effect. That's one theory that could very well be, but it's like, that's one, right? Not to say that it's accurate, but what if they did prank him? What if they say, well, we're taking the boat? Because if Dad is saying over here, he would never leave without his friends, he wouldn't just stay back there. We don't know who and what happened, right?
Particularly if alcohol injury or a medical event was involved in any way, even if you are a strong swimmer, if you have a seizure, or if you are under the influence, or if you get a leg cramp or, anything like that, of course, then there is still the possibility of accidental drowning. But none of those possibilities have yet been confirmed. So Nolan was reportedly seen talking to a young woman on the island. Early information circulated that he may have wanted to stay behind because he was interested in her or was, quote unquote, hooking up with her. Now, that description has been heavily repeated on social media, but no official source has publicly confirmed the exact nature of their relationship or whether they had any sort of previous romantic or sexual involvement with one another. So, to be very clear, it is fair to say that Nolan was reportedly talking to or spending time with a young woman on the island, yes, but it is not currently confirmed that she was either his girlfriend, that they were formally dating, or that they were sexually involved. And The detail that's circulating too of them like hooking up and that characterization, it appears to come largely from online discussion groups and secondhand accounts rather than an official investigative finding. Also, it comes from loosely the friend group when they said, oh yeah, he wanted to stay back, hang with this girl, but the vocabulary of like hooking up and that isn't outright stated. Although, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here for a moment. I think it's fair that that could be implied. Young kids on a boat, partying, possibly drinking, you meet someone, typically 9 times out of 10, you are probably going to hook up if you're hitting it off or you want to, or who knows. So like that.
Yeah, but the issue is that she's not confirming any of this, right? That's the conflict of the story. She's not confirming any of this. I can believe that there was a hookup, whatever, right? But a lot of this is inconsistent. They should be saying the same thing. So what happened next?
Idea that somebody could stay behind because they possibly see that path, it's not unheard of. Okay. I think about it too. Like if you go to a bar, and so oftentimes we hear stories where the majority of the group leaves, but somebody is left behind because they met someone at the bar and they're interested in them. Similar kind of situation to this. So at approximately 3 p.m., it was the last confirmed sighting of Nolan. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office said that he was last seen at approximately 3 p.m. on Horn Island. At the time, he was described as wearing blue swim trunks, sunglasses, and no shirt. He's approximately 6 feet 1 inch tall, and he weighed around 180 pounds. Now, Judge Ashley Cole also said that her son last saw Nolan at around 3 p.m. Her public account, again, though, was that Nolan had made a voluntary decision to remain on the island, and he planned to return to the mainland later with another group of friends. The sheriff initially relayed a similar understanding, saying that investigators believed that Nolan, quote, chose to stay on the island under the assumption that he would ride back with someone else. However, this is where the central contradiction in this case begins, because according to the family's attorney, Ben Crump, Nolan's original friends allegedly said that he had planned to remain with this young woman. However, he also said that this young woman provided a conflicting account, and she stated that Nolan actually got back on the boat with the group of boys. Now, that statement has been heavily reported by media. However, law enforcement has not publicly explained whose version it believes, and they also have not released the woman's complete interview. But I do find that interesting. If the attorney either has had access to this interview or has been told through police reports or anything like that, that she said, no, he didn't stay behind with me. He got back on the boat with the boys. That's not coming out of thin air, I don't think. And it's a very critical piece of information in this timeline. So at this stage right now, again, at the time of this recording, there are 2 materially different versions of what happened. One version saying that Nolan voluntarily stayed behind with the intention of leaving on another boat, possibly with a young woman or another group. And then the other version, via by his family attorney and statement by this young woman, indicating that Nolan boarded or attempted to board the original boat with his friends. So with that, at this point, remember, I mentioned that footage of this alleged confrontation and argument as well before the boat took off and left. Well, the Ben Crump, the family attorney, said that a bystander video appears to show Nolan involved in a heated exchange in which he can be heard on this footage demanding that someone give him back his phone. He said that he has used the alleged footage to challenge the suggestion that Nolan casually chose to stay behind and simply just forgot his phone on the boat. Rather, though, that somebody intentionally was holding his phone from him, not giving it back, not Nolan just staying behind and, forgetting his phone willy-nilly on the boat. The alleged video has circulated in a lot of different forms online too. It's been difficult to independently verify the footage, and authorities have not publicly confirmed its authenticity or the identities of everyone who's shown or when in the video or when it was recorded. So at this point, what they're saying is that the video should be treated as potentially important evidence, but not yet as established proof of a fight or an assault taking place.
Why do you think that this friend, right, the one that came forward and he said, that's me on the recording, why was it important for him to say that? Not that I'm like, why does he have to be the one to confirm that he's the one yelling? And if he's the one yelling, who was he yelling to? Who was he talking to? Was he talking to Nolan? Was he talking to other individuals? Who was he fighting with, or who was he arguing with? Because if there's one thing that is consistent, I mean, we've noted, is that there was some kind of an argument or something happened, right? Did it happen there at the water? Did it happen somewhere else? So why was it important? Friend comes out, he's like, that's my friend. That's me on the thing. Like, people need to let the investigation be what it is. Okay. I don't know. Why was it important for him to say that it was him who was yelling? It just shows him. It just shows a group of them there, and there is yelling. And I don't know what Nolan's voice sounds like, but it sounded like, I was like, well, man, is that Nolan? I don't know. Well, he confirmed it. The friend did. But why? My question is, why was it important for this friend, who mom is saying that's not even a child? We don't know him. We don't know him. Okay. Why was it important for him to clear that part up? I don't understand, but okay.
And that it needs to be vetted and verified still. It also has not been confirmed that a physical fight occurred. Some online posts have claimed that Nolan was attacked, yes, that he was beaten, or possibly even involved in a larger altercation. As of now, though, law enforcement has not substantiated any of those claims, and no person has been charged with assaulting Nolan. What does, however, appear to be confirmed is that Nolan's phone did not remain with him. One of the friends who returned from the island on that boat and then back to the mainland, he had possession of it. And that device ended up being located at a place connected to the friends. And as we know, Nolan's parents also said that the same was true of his keys, which Nolan's family finds this highly suspicious because in their view, it makes little sense that this 18-year-old would voluntarily not only remain alone on this uninhabited island without his phone, car keys, or guaranteed ride home, but also just like allow them to take it. It just doesn't really make sense and it doesn't add up. Now, that does not prove that someone forcibly took his items. It is possible that they were accidentally left on the boat or maybe handed to someone for safekeeping or separated from Nolan during a disagreement. But I mean, the circumstances surrounding.
Apparently somebody witnessed a disagreement. I don't know about an assault. We don't know any of that. You know, yeah. Somebody took his phone and they kept it. And why delete all of his data?
The phone and the keys, it's a big deal in this case, and they have not been publicly resolved. A lot of people take issue with this, and a lot of people think that this is a red flag. But is it a red flag, or is it just a red herring? And I want to talk about what happened when the friends left the island.
All right. Shout out to Annie Elise. Hold up. Shout out to her sponsors. Let me go right here, right here, right here, right here.
Judge Ashley said that the boat carrying her son and the other group of boys and friends departed the island around 4:30 p.m. And the reason she says they left is because the boat had started having mechanical problems. According to her account, though, at that point, even with the mechanical issues on the boat, Nolan had already decided that he was not going to leave with them at that point. And there has been some confusion in reporting about whether the mechanical problem forced the group to leave and that's why they left Nolan behind, or it simply motivated whoever was driving the boat to head back earlier than planned because.
Yeah, if the judge isn't there, why are you making statements too? Shit. My head is itching. My head is itching. Thank you, Ronan. Tell him to hit the like button, please, and thank you. Yeah, why is the...
Because of the mechanical issues. But the most direct public statement from Judge Ashley says that, once again, Nolan made his own choice to stay, and the boat left when it began having issues. However, once again, Nolan's parents do not believe that he would have voluntarily separated from the group, mainly because his father said that Nolan has always been taught that when he went somewhere with a group, he was expected to return with the same group. In his words, if you leave with 5 people, you come home with 5 people. So this is part of why the family does not find the friends' explanations believable. However, as we know, a family's understanding of someone's habits is not itself proof that Nolan could not have, made a different decision that day. Kids will be kids. If there's hooking up involved, romantic feelings involved, possibly alcohol involved, it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody may act out of character or make different choices than they normally would otherwise. I usually would never leave my group of friends either. And I think back to when I was in my early 20s even, and now I would never leave my group of friends, I should say. But like back in my early 20s, like if we were all at a bar and if a friend of mine was like, oh my God, I met this guy, like I'm going to go hang out with him, I'm going to go back to his place, we wouldn't think twice about it, even if like we normally never would split as a group. So my point is that, and I don't know if there was alcohol or if there were drugs involved, but even just the idea of hooking up or romantic feelings or anything like that, sometimes it's enough to where it would sway your decision-making from the decisions you would normally make. So even if a family is saying like, they would never normally leave their group, they would always return. Well, kids will be kids. You can't necessarily say that as like a rule of thumb all the time. Or, I mean, it could be like, there's always exceptions, right? I guess that's my point. So investigators still need witness statements, phone data, video, and forensic evidence to really establish what actually happened, who was where, what time all of this went down, and build the timeline. What we do know is that Nolan did not return to the mainland with his original group. So what he did between approximately...
Yeah, who was taking charge of the boat? That's a great question. Or was this a boat like one of those private boats that anybody could drive? I don't know. That's a great question, though. That was a question I was asking too.
3 p.m. on July 4th, and the discovery of his body on the morning of July 6th, that remains the largest unknown in this case. One of the biggest questions is whether or not anyone on the island saw Nolan after the original friends left. Authorities and Nolan's family have repeatedly asked people who were present to turn over photos, videos, eyewitness information, anything that was taken on their phone during that afternoon or even later in that evening. Because as we know, again, especially on 4th of July, and I don't know if there were fireworks in the area or not, everybody's got their phone out, right? Especially kids, especially young adults. They're Snapchatting, they're Instagramming, they're, what's the other thing? TikToking. They're doing their thing. So if there were, in fact, up to 200 people on that island, surely there is one sliver of digital evidence that could help build out this timeline or show if there was intoxication, show if there was another girl next to Nolan, show if he's stepping on the edge of the boat, back into the boat in the distance of a photograph, like in the background. So they're asking for anyone who was there to submit their information, submit their photos, their videos, so that they can comb through it and figure out what the truth is, what really happened. Now, here's what's interesting though, okay? Online claims have suggested that Nolan may have reunited with friends later, that he may have even attended another gathering or remained with that young woman and hung out with her the rest of the night. But none of those claims have officially been confirmed. At the time of this recording,
this is crazy work. Ryan just says he pleads the fact that he was heard asking for his phone. There's that, and his friend was found, which placed suspicion towards his so-called friends. All of them are sus to me. That's what I'm saying. It's like, especially if it's young adults, but who and what and who is buying the alcohol, right?
There's no verified public timeline that documents Nolan's movements after approximately 3 p.m. Then fast forward several hours, and at approximately 11 p.m., the first calls about Nolan went out. The U.S. Coast Guard said that a friend of Nolan's contacted the agency at approximately 11 p.m. The Coast Guard would not provide the full contents of the call, but did say that it did not require Coast Guard assistance at that time. Now, what that means, I don't exactly know. How do you receive a phone call but you're under the impression that it doesn't require assistance? So that's going to be, in my opinion, a very interesting and key piece of the puzzle here. Separately, Nolan's mom said that a friend called her just after 11 p.m. And that's when she first became aware that Nolan had not returned and when she became seriously concerned. It's not completely clear from the public reporting whether that same friend made both calls, the call to the Coast Guard and the call to Nolan's mom. And we don't know what exactly the friend told Christine or why the Coast Guard, again, initially determined that assistance wasn't required. But I do think that those details.
Yes. Here's the other thing, too. I didn't even think of that. Another shout out to Karma. The analysts, another theory for why they lawyered up is someone supplied alcohol to underage group of young people, right? These boats belong to somebody. Somebody purchased the alcohol. Somebody, I mean, truly, right?
Details could become critical because they might reveal what the friends believed had happened to Nolan at that point. So without many answers at that point and a hell of a lot of questions, Christine said that she used the Life 360 location sharing app. She did that so she could locate Nolan and locate his phone. The phone, though, was not showing as being with Nolan on Horn Island, where his friends said he still was, but it was showing a location back on the mainland. So after someone went to retrieve the phone from the location that was shown on the app, Christine, his mom, said that she noticed that some information had appeared to be missing. She specifically said that that's when she noticed that his 2 Snapchat accounts had both appeared empty of photos, empty of saved messages, empty of videos, everything. Yet, apparently, according to her, he had a habit of documenting not only his social life and time out with his friends, but also family events. So, and I don't know how Snapchat works. I'm too old. I don't have Snapchat. I don't use it. I know that there are settings where it's like messages delete after 60 seconds or photos disappear because, and I don't know if that's how it still is, but I know when Snapchat was first on the scene back in 2009, when I first had downloaded it, it was like the app where you would send a nude. And
I had to break into a couple of Snapchats. Yeah, it's a different world. Snapchat is something else.
And it would be safe because it would disappear immediately. And I think now people use it more as a regular messaging tool and communication device. And I don't know if there's settings that you can use to immediately wipe everything if he had those settings activated, or if somebody manually went in and cleared everything, since he clearly didn't have possession of his phone. But obviously the forensic analysis of that will be able to determine that quite quickly. And any of you who have Snapchat and know how that software works, feel free to sound off in the comments and let me know, how that all works and what you think. So the family attorney and Nolan's parents have characterized.
That's a question. How did they have his password? Nowadays, if it's an iPhone, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Do y'all do the face thing where you don't even need to type in the if it doesn't recognize you, it makes you type the password? I do that. I do the face thing. It's interesting, right?
This missing content as, of course, possible deletion or tampering. However, it has not yet been established through a forensic exam that another person intentionally deleted anything. So more to come on that. The family attorney said that the family plans to retain experts to attempt and recover the phone data before turning the device over to the authorities. And when I researched this and started looking into it, I found it really interesting because if they are retaining their own experts to go through and scrape this phone before they even pass it over to law enforcement, I mean, that decision to preserve and privately examine the phone, to me, that reflects the distrust of the local investigation.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get wanting to know for yourself and hire your independent expert to look into it, and then you'll pass the phone over. I absolutely understand that. However, the problem with that then becomes chain of custody issues, different questions that will be raised that the investigators will eventually need to address. And was it tampered with by the expert? What was on there? It just, unfortunately, I get the why behind it, but it does then end up creating a few more hurdles.
Let me stop right here. Make sure you guys finish up Annie Elise's video. Shout out to Annie Elise. She's a really, really good true crime content creator. Shout out to her. Maybe they didn't use the password. Maybe they used the face. That's the question that I have. I don't trust Face ID. People use the Face ID. Y'all don't trust it? It could possibly be for them to know, or friends have 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds to buy the alcohol, or the parents. I don't know, man. I don't know. Something ain't right about this, right? I don't know. You said you don't trust the Face ID technology reading? For somebody's like, I don't trust that. Hold up. I wanted to answer a question real quick before I go. Oh, you're talking about the young woman from Tennessee. Yeah, not related, different states, but Tatted Lily, not related for sure. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. You said allegedly they took screenshots of Nolan and used it to get his phone. What? I didn't know you could do that. Whoa. Wow. That's insane. We're going to find out, right? Something's up. We're going to find out. And let me tell you guys, like I said, I'm a parent. If you're a parent, niece, nephew, or whatever, guardian, whatever you may be, godparent, whatever, like, you would want answers. And I don't fault them at all for wanting the answers, because I would do the same. I would do the same. So they have to do what they have to do. And, they got to keep pushing whatever they have to do. So yeah, I'm hoping that we get more answers, and hopefully they, get the information that they need. But I'm going to let you guys go because I have to go tend to baby Bunny. She's very quiet. So I wonder if she's getting, how when your kid is quiet, you're like, you must be getting into some shit when you're quiet. You must be getting into something when you're quiet. That's how she is. She gets very quiet and she gets into stuff. But make sure you guys watch our video earlier. I did a pre-recorded on the Alexi Treviso with First Liberties podcast. Shout out to First Liberties podcast. Alexi Treviso, the case from New Mexico, 19-year-old who delivers a baby and puts the baby in the trash. And she's then charged with murder at a hospital. Okay, at a hospital. And yeah, so go check it out. Go show some love. Shout out to First Liberties podcast. Make sure you check out his channel. I will see you guys on the next one because I got to go. But you guys have a great one. Bye, guys. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, guys.